Hi everyone and welcome back to Bonnie Astrology. Today we're discussing the astrology of March 2023 and what it means for your zodiac sign. This is a huge month. This is one of the most important months of 2023. Why? Because we have so much planetary movement. Saturn is leaving Aquarius and is entering Pisces. Saturn has not been in Pisces for nearly 30 years and Saturn has not changed signs since 2020 when it first entered Aquarius in March 2020. And we all know what that brought about. Pluto is entering Aquarius, which will not have been something we've experienced in this lifetime for any of us, but Pluto has not changed signs since 2008 when it entered Capricorn. Now, Pluto is not going to stay in Aquarius permanently. It is going to retrograde back into Capricorn, but this is certainly a huge change and a taster energy for what is to come in the future, both personally and collectively. We also have Mars finally leaving Gemini. Mars has been in Gemini since August 2022. And Mars is now moving into Cancer. As well as that, we have a very exciting full moon in Virgo and a brand spanking new moon in Aries to kick off the astrological new year. As well as this, we also have one of the luckiest days of the month because on the 2nd of March, or the 1st, depending on where you are, Venus and Jupiter are going to be conjunct in Aries, which is bringing about very lucky energy as Venus and Jupiter are both benefics in astrology. This is a very romantic energy. So if you have your eyes set on anybody, or you would like to pursue new romance, or you would like to make some sort of grand gesture to your partner, this is the time to do so because in Aries, fortune favors the brave. So huge changes this month. I am going to get into what it means for each of the individual zodiac signs. But first, I just want to touch briefly on what this celestial activity means. So firstly, March is in numerology a number 1 month, and this favors brand new starts and brand new beginnings. This is very fresh energy. And this message is amplified by the fact that both Saturn and Pluto, which are outer planets, they don't change signs as frequently as, say, Mercury. They're going to be changing signs, which is bringing in some kind of new beginning. Now, until the 7th of March, Saturn and Pluto are both going to be at 29 degrees of their respective signs. Saturn is 29 degrees of Aquarius and Pluto is 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this is a critical degree. This is a wrapping up process where with Pluto, we may feel like we are purging some last attachments to the energies of whatever house Pluto was occupying. You could be working through some traumas, you could be working through some pain, some internal soul reflection could be going on what you've achieved, what you've learned, and what you've transformed in your Capricorn house. Saturn is wrapping up some sort of karmic lesson, and you may have noticed since March 2020 what type of lessons you have been learning in your Aquarius house, where you've taken more responsibility, where you've probably had some knocks and some challenges that have grown and matured you as a person. So we're reviewing a lot with the 29 degree energy. We're recapping, we're reviewing. We're probably in the mood as well to tie up loose ends. So if you have any outstanding projects, anything that you've been working on, anything that you would really like to finally let go of because you can sense on an intuitive level that something is changing, something is shifting, and you have to wrap up this process, you may be in this... You may feel really strongly like you need to get it done now. You might feel really strongly like the time is of the essence. And to an extent, yes, it is. But Pluto is going to retrograde back. So Pluto is going to teeter around that anaretic degree for quite a while. With Saturn, this is likely a time where you are really understanding what the lesson was, because Saturn likes to teach us. In most cases, Saturn likes to teach us the hard way. We want to embrace Saturn's authoritative voice, where we take on more responsibility, where we take on more maturity in the house that Saturn occupies. So Saturn going into Pisces is going to bring a new set of challenges to an extent, but also a new set of responsibilities and goals for us in the Pisces house. As I say, I will get into that for each of the zodiac signs. With Pluto going into Aquarius, in our Aquarius house, we're going to be feeling this soul call to be more authentic and to be more real in the Aquarius house, and also to notice where we have power, where we give away power, where we have power, and our relationship with power in that Aquarian house. Now, with the shifting of the 29 degrees to all this new energy, with March being in numerology month number 1. We also have a new moon in Aries, which is kicking off the astrological new year, and this is at 0 degrees of Aries, meaning that this is the kind of new beginning that you have to embrace with completely fresh energy. This isn't the type of energy where you are starting something new and thinking about the past. This isn't the type of energy where you're starting something and thinking, well, what did I do before here? What am I doing? This is like infant energy. This is a brand new start where you're going to want to be very, not naive, but you're really going to approach it with full energy, where you're feeling very carefree, where you're feeling very brave, very courageous. And you may be finding that with this new moon, what you are starting is something unprecedented for you potentially in your Aries house, which is very exciting. The full moon in Virgo is also going to be quite exciting because it is trine Uranus. It's a very close trine to Uranus, and full moons that are in harmonious aspect to Uranus, as opposed to the Leo full moon in February that was in hard aspect to Uranus. A lot of the time with full moons in positive aspect to Uranus, we can expect sweet, pleasant, unexpected surprises. To touch on the luckiest energy with Venus conjunct Jupiter, as I said before, this is a very romantic energy. These are the benefics. This is the time to shoot your shot if you're interested in somebody or you want to pursue somebody. This is the time to put your feelings out there, to put your hopes and wishes out there. This is a great one for manifesting of any kind, calling in what it is that you want. It's a very lucky energy. So this is also a good day to buy a lottery ticket. This is a good day to take a chance, because with all of this occurring in Aries, it's usually where we put in a bit of bravado, a bit of bravery, and a bit of courage, and we take the initiative. It's not so much the type of energy that falls in your lap, whereas it's more the type of energy that you leap and the universe catches you. Now, Chiron is in the mix here, which means that part of the blessing might be to do with seeing the healing that you've done and how it's led to these blessings, how it's led to this increased self-confidence maybe that is pushing you to take the initiative. Or it might be that healing is the blessing with this conjunction and you're really feeling very grateful for the healing you've done and you've noticed it and you're proud of it. So that is a very lucky day. This is a big month. This is a very big month. And with Mars finally leaving Gemini, you can also start to feel a wrapping up of any tension and chaos in your Gemini house. But without further ado, let's get into what it means for each of the zodiac signs. As I said before, if you want to book a reading with me, maybe I didn't say that at all, you can contact me at the email address listed in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's get into the horoscopes. Timestamps are listed below. I hope you have a blessed and beautiful March, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, Sun, Moon and Rising, and welcome to March. So Aries, you are one of the stars of the show this month. Let's fast forward a little bit to the 21st when we have a new moon in your sign. So the sun enters your sign on the 20th, officially marking your season and the astrological new year, and then we have a brand spanking new moon happening on the 21st at 0 degrees of your sign. You are starting something new for yourself this month, Aries. It is a wonderful time to make a vision board. It is a wonderful time to think about what you want to achieve in your solar return year, what it is that you want to begin for yourself, maybe something that is to do with your physical appearance, maybe something that is to do with a personal goal. And this feels like something really new, Aries. So this might be something that you've not done before. It is forming a sextile to Pluto while Pluto is still in Capricorn, which is your 10th house of goals and status. This could be something you're beginning that is going to bring you in some shape or form status in the long run, or boost your career, or boost your reputation, or may even garner you some fame, Aries. But this seems to be something that you're really passionate about, and you may also be a little bit obsessive about. It's something that you really care about. It really matters to you, Aries, this thing that you're beginning this month. And another reason it's a great time to make a vision board is because we have the Venus-Jupiter conjunction on the 2nd at 12 degrees of your sign. If you have Aries placements at 11, 12 or 13 degrees, you're directly impacted by this, but all Aries placements will feel this energy, this cosmic boost. Really lucky time, really opportunistic. It feels like everything is going your way with this energy because you're likely going to be attracting good feelings, good vibes, good energy, new beginnings. It's a great time to work on something for yourself, particularly if it is something to do with your appearance. Maybe get a haircut, maybe get some new clothes. Venus conjunct Jupiter can make you overspend to an extent, but this is a time where investing in yourself might actually pay off in a big way, Aries. We've a full moon in Virgo, which is your 6th house of work, on the 7th of March. So some of you might be changing jobs, and if you are, it's likely going to be something that either boosts your finances, your income, or boosts your confidence. And if it's not work, if it's not employment change, or it's not a goal, this might be a time, or a goal or a project in work, this might be a time when you're realizing some kind of habit, some sort of habit is paying off. You're maybe making a dietary change, you're maybe making an exercise change, something to do with your habits, something to do with the way you schedule your day. And this is boosting your confidence, Aries. On the 7th, Saturn enters your 12th house and will be there for 3 years. Saturn in the 12th house is a time to commit to healing and doing work behind the scenes. So for a lot of you, this might be a time where you start to understand how you have certain behaviors that maybe hinder you. You might have some realizations of self-sabotaging behaviors, and a lot of you, I would say the vast majority of Aries risings in particular, will at some point over the next few years engage in some kind of healing, whether that is through a traditional therapist, whether that is to do with seeing a Reiki healer, whether that is to seeing alternative healers, or even spending time in hospitals or rehab facilities. This is going to be a time where you are committing and taking responsibility to some form of healing in your life, Aries, and it's very important to you that you do, because this is cleaning house before Saturn goes into your 1st house and brings about a new beginning, a new life cycle. This is a time of intense healing and doing work behind the scenes, maybe even working on a project behind the scenes that will take a long time, but you're dedicated to in private. Jupiter is conjunct Chiron in your sign at 14 degrees in the 12th, which is a time to add to this healing message, because Jupiter rules your 12th house of healing. With Jupiter conjunct Chiron being the wounded healer in your 1st house, this is a time to practice self-love for your insecurities, or things that make you feel doubt about yourself, or things that make you feel in some way inadequate or ashamed of yourself, or things that just make you feel insecure. It's a wonderful time to give some love, and you might actually get some recognition or see things from a higher perspective regarding your insecurities. And this could be a day where you really see how maybe something that you felt insecure about, or something you felt vulnerable about, maybe this is something that could actually bring you a lot of wisdom, Aries. Or you might encounter some kind of wisdom that makes you feel better about something that was hurting you beforehand. Venus enters your 2nd house in the 16th, which brings a wonderful second half of the month for your finances. You're likely to have some sort of financial blessings coming up at the end of March going into April. Aries, Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd, and this is going to be a time where you'll probably notice this quite quickly, but you might notice if there's any unhealthy dynamics when it comes to friendships or groups of people. Maybe some people are having a really negative impact on you, or you're finding them a bit controlling, or maybe you're realizing there's some power dynamics in your friendship circle that you're not comfortable with, and this might be something to consider. This is a very long-term transit, but I often find with the beginning of a transit, we get some kind of indication, some sort of indicator of what this transit is going to be in the long run. Your ruler Mars enters Cancer on the 25th. It's going to trine Saturn in your 12th house on the 30th. So Mars going into your 4th house can cause some friction with home and family. This is a big shift energetically for you, because Mars has been in your 3rd house. So you might feel a little bit, Aries, like you want to suddenly change things around the home and put energy into maybe redecorating. This can bring some tension with family. But I feel as though with the trine to Saturn so close into this cycle, I feel like a lot of you might want to make your space, your living space, a more comfortable Zen place to be. So Aries, this is what I have for you for March. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Taurus, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to March. This is what I have for you. So Taurus, we have Venus entering your sign on the 16th. So you can bet from the 16th onward, you're going to be the cream of the crop. You're going to look your best. You're probably going to feel pretty good, and you're going to be very attractive. So you have more opportunities to attract eyes on you, to attract suitors if you're looking, to attract attention if there's something you want to put out there, and to really be received well, Taurus, because Venus is your ruling planet, and when it's in your sign it benefits us all, but particularly you, and you can bet you're going to have a certain glow about you from the 16th that is very hard to miss. So let's zoom back a little bit to the start of the month when we have the Venus-Jupiter conjunction on the 2nd. Now this is happening in your 12th house. So the blessings occurring to you could be quite behind the scenes, Taurus. This might not be something you're initially screaming from the rooftops. It could be quite private. The blessings coming to you could also be quite healing. They could be something that you've been working on behind the scenes coming to fruition, especially if it is to do with healing, as Venus rules your first house. This could be something as well that you're working on a personal level, a personal goal. But I feel for a lot of you, it is seeing the benefit in the healing work that you've been doing, or getting extra sleep, or taking extra care of yourself, or some kind of practice that has been making you really focus on nurturing yourself. And this is in some way paying off as a very lucky opportunity or lucky realization for you, Taurus. Because Venus is your ruler, when it conjuncts Jupiter, it means that you are very magnetic to blessings, but because this is in your 12th house, I feel like it is behind the scenes in some way, shape or form. There's a full moon in Virgo on the 7th, and it is going to be trining Uranus in your first house. So for you, Taurus, this full moon is happening in your 5th house of love and romance and creativity and pleasure. So this is a fun one for you. This could be a really nice time to go on a date. This could be a really nice time to have some sort of flirtation. This could be a nice time to, even if you're in a relationship, to go on a date, but really to embrace romance and fun around this full moon. A lot of the time with full moons in the 5th house, there's more opportunities to mingle, to go out, to socialize, and to just have fun and let loose. And the trine to Uranus means that you're feeling very in flow with this full moon, and you're going to want to be free and to be seen and to really enjoy it, Taurus. I think this full moon could be a really fun one for you, especially if you're single and looking. You might encounter romance around this full moon as well. Saturn enters your 11th house on the same day. So this is an interesting one. Saturn in the 11th house. The 11th house is to do with our aspirations, our hopes and our wishes. It's also to do with our social groups and our friendships. So going forward, Taurus, when it comes to your networking, when it comes to your social group, your peers, your friends, it's quantity over quality. You will probably find your social circle diminishes a bit over the next 3 years. You're maybe moving away from friendships that are quite, I think they're called fair weather friends, where they're just there for the good times, not the bad times. You're more likely to keep connected to friends that are built to last and stand the test of time. You know, the type of friendships that are real and true and would be there for you in the long run. Similarly, you may also meet friends who are more Saturnian, people who have Capricorn or Aquarius placements in their chart, people who take friendships seriously. You may also encounter some friendships who are karmic in nature and have something to teach you along the way, some kind of lesson, or push you to learn something about the way that you work with friendships, or maybe even the way that you go about your goals. Saturn in the 11th house can be a time where we finally pursue and commit to a wish and a dream of ours. For example, the month that Saturn entered my 11th house, I started practicing as an astrologer. And it has been, without a doubt, one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So this is the kind of energy you're pulling into Saturn in the 11th house. The commitment to work towards a goal, the commitment to take responsibility for our dreams, for our aspirations, and also more serious about who we exchange energy with, who our friends are, who we confide in, who we trust, etc. There's a Jupiter Chiron conjunction in your 12th house on the 12th, and this is going to be the kind of energy whereby you might feel a little bit like you really you really want to throw yourself into some deep healing, and you're getting the knowledge and the wisdom to understand something about yourself that maybe felt like a wound, maybe felt like a pain. You're almost having this sense of diving deeper into educating yourself on something that might be a bit of a pain body for you. Whenever the sun enters your 12th house on the 20th, because until the 20th, the sun is going to be in your 11th house, so there's a lot more social opportunities, social networking opportunities. When the sun enters your 12th house on the 20th, and then there's a new moon there on the 21st, you're likely committing to something that is going to help or benefit your mental health. So it might be that you're committing to meditating daily. It might be that you're deciding to start seeing a therapist. It might be that you're deciding to start dream journaling. It might be that you're deciding that you want to heal something or partake in some sort of activity, Taurus, that helps you heal in some capacity. I feel like there's a new beginning there. When there's a new moon in the 12th house, it can be a little chapter, like a couple of weeks where we really go inward. We sort of step back from society. Sometimes that's voluntary, sometimes it's not. And you can really reflect and look inward at what is going on with you and what it is that you want to heal. And you're likely more inclined to whip out your tarot deck, do a few readings on yourself, journal, write out your feelings. And you just have this like internal psychological itch you need to scratch, and you need to do a little bit of digging with. With this new moon, I really feel, because of its sextile to Pluto that is still in your 9th house, you want to learn something that helps you heal this month, but it almost seems as if you have to educate yourself on it. You have to read books, or you have to watch documentaries, or it's like you get an idea of something that's going to help you heal, and you need all the knowledge that you can get on it, and it helps to learn more about it. Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd, so for you, Taurus, this is going to be an interesting chapter for you. You're going to become very aware when it comes to your professional life, or when it comes to your people who have positions of authority over you, whether that's your parents, whether that's your boss, whether that's your headmaster, whatever stage of life you're in, people that have authority over you. You're going to notice where there are unhealthy power dynamics, or where you feel like you're maybe giving away some of your power, or where you want to take back your power. And on a psychological level, you might come to some really interesting realizations here as well. Mars is entering Cancer on the 25th. So Mars is stepping away from your money sector. So you're probably kind of relieved about that, because with Mars being there, Mars is quite aggressive. So you can be, aggressively pushing to make money, but you can also have mishaps or accidents you need to spend money on. Mars is moving into your 3rd house, so just bear in mind that when it comes to communication, you might be more direct, other people might be a bit sensitive about it. So just be mindful that when you're communicating, Taurus, you might be coming across a bit more aggressive than you usually would, because to be honest, a lot of the time, Taurus, usually the tonality of a Taurus person is usually quite soft regardless of what they're saying, I find, unless you have a whole bunch of Aries placements in your chart. But Mars in the 3rd house can sometimes bring about challenging communications that we have to be patient with and we have to learn from. There's a really nice trine to Saturn on the 30th though, with Mars in your 3rd house and Saturn being in your 11th. So there might be a conversation you need to bring up with a friend that actually goes a bit better than you thought, or a conversation with a group of people, or some sort of presentation or something around that time, Taurus. But that is what I have for you. I hope you have a really beautiful month, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Gemini, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to March. This is a very important month, Gemini, and this is a huge month for you because Mars is finally leaving your sign. Mars has been there since August. That's a very long time to have Mars in your camp. Now Mars is moving into your 2nd house, which is to do with your income, your money, your finances, as well as your values. So you can bet that these are the areas that if there's confrontation, these are the topics that are going to be the most touchy. This could be where fights are breaking out over money, over income, over pay. There could be just as equally a lot of energy on your part to make more money. And sometimes with Mars, the energy to spend more money. But with this particular transit, Gemini, there is a lovely trine happening a few days later on the 30th between Mars in your second house, and Saturn, which will at that point have entered your 10th house. So there could be something that comes up with your career that maybe is bringing you more pay, or maybe you're more ready to pursue something career-wise that takes on more responsibility but gives you better financial reward, Gemini. Or you're going to be aligning yourself more so with a career that matches your values. Now, just to zoom back to Saturn entering this sector, Saturn enters Pisces on the 7th of March, and Saturn is going to be then in your career zone. So when Saturn goes into the 10th house, a lot of the time, so depending on what age you are when you're watching this, a lot of the time we see Saturn enter the 10th house when people are starting their first jobs as an adult. So your first big time job, your graduate job, or your first employment, or you're beginning a new chapter professionally. Perhaps you are pursuing something, perhaps you are beginning, at the bottom of the ladder and you're going to work your way up, or perhaps you're taking on more responsibility, either by becoming a boss or taking on a new level in your work where you have more seniority and thus more responsibility. But the thing here, Gemini, is that you're going to be, regardless, taking on more responsibility. You're going to be taking on some kind of status potentially, or you're going to be taking on more responsibility in your work or in the pursuit of your career and your long-term objectives. This can also be a time when your status actually changes in some capacity, where you have a new title, or you have a new title if it's status. So we could have a new title of some kind, or you could have some kind of new social standing occurring to you in the next 3 years, Gemini. But where you're taking on responsibility and growth is in your work, and you may also have to understand or learn some kind of karmic lessons, maybe to do with an authority figure, maybe to do with a boss, maybe to do with someone who is in a position of seniority over you. The people that generate some kind of karmic lessons for you over the next few years will be bosses, and sometimes, or people in positions of authority, and sometimes this can bring a little bit of challenge with people in these positions. And speaking from experience, because I remember going through this transit, it might be a time where you have to address if you have any unresolved issues with authority, and that is maybe playing out in the workplace in some way, shape or form. In fact, there is a book now, and I'm not sure what it's called, but there is a book that talks about how your relationships in work, or your experience in works, usually mimic or mirror the beginnings you had in childhood in your home in some way, shape or form. So you might be learning some stuff in that particular area, Gemini. Now, on the 7th of March, there is a full moon, which is actually activating your career axis, because the sun will still be in your 10th house at that point, shining a light on all things career and all things goals. But the full moon will be in your 4th house. So I like this full moon. It's trine Uranus. Now, it does have a bit of a loose square to Mars in your 1st house, so you could be feeling a little bit emotional around this time. But the full moon in your 4th house, trining Uranus in your 12th house, it feels as though maybe something that was lingering or unresolved, or something that was just like a feeling or an energy or a back of the mind type thing when it comes to home and family, something might be sort of being resolved, or there could be an unexpected surprise out of nowhere when it comes to family, when it comes to home. This could be someone in your family surprising you. This could be unexpected good news when it comes to home or property matters for you, Gemini. Or perhaps you're moving, or perhaps you're getting planning permission, and with the fact that it's trining Uranus in your 12th house, this could be something you've been working on behind the scenes for a while, or something that you thought maybe had, you hadn't heard from in a while, and then all of a sudden you've got the planning permission, all of a sudden you've got the house, all of a sudden you've got the green light to move, Gemini. But I like this full moon for you. The sun enters Aries. So right up until the 20th, we have the sun in your 10th house of career and professional life. There's a lot of focus on work for you, Gemini, right up until the 20th. And from the 20th, we have new beginnings happening in your 11th house of friendships and wishes. So with the new moon in Aries, 0 degrees on the 21st, you're going to be likely pursuing some kind of new goal, some kind of new aspiration, some kind of dream, I think, Gemini, that you're going to be going after. This can also bring in a new friend. This can also bring in a new social circle, a new team of friends. But the sextile to Pluto in Capricorn, which is your 8th house, is making me feel like this is going to be a new beginning that requires a little bit either fearlessness from you, the need to be brave, or it's going to require you to share. So that could be something coming up, but I do see for a lot of you there could be a new friend coming in or a new social group, and if there is, they could be Scorpiophonic in nature. They could be someone who has Scorpio placements. They could be a group of people that are interested in Scorpio type things like the occult or something like that. Speaking of Pluto, on the 23rd, Pluto enters Aquarius, which is your 9th house. So do you have any phobias about travel? Do you have any phobias about flying? Do you have any phobias about traveling long distance? Do you have any phobias about higher education? Anything that is connected to your Aquarius house, Gemini, you're likely going to be feeling the need to perhaps conquer it, dive into it, or understand it, maybe on a psychological level. And this could be a really interesting time period for you, Gemini, to understand what the deeper meaning is behind why you feel this certain way. And if you don't feel phobias or fear of any of those, what is your power dynamic like in those areas? With Pluto entering your 9th house, you may also consider if you have a controlling or obsessive relationship or power dynamic issues when it comes to religion and your spiritual beliefs. So what is it that you believe in, Gemini? What is your faith? Are you perhaps cutting ties completely to a specific religion, perhaps even to a specific higher education, maybe your university? Maybe you're deciding you don't want to do this anymore. Perhaps there's some kind of issue with people at your university. Perhaps there is an issue with a particular belief system, Gemini, and you're really being called to figure out what is true for you. So perhaps that's an example where some of you, everyone in your family has gone to university and got a degree, and you really feel like you don't want to do that. You want to do something else. And this is going to be a rather triggering thing for you to lean into, to take that sort of personal autonomy and personal authority over your belief. Perhaps for some of you, you were raised Catholic and you're deciding you absolutely want to break free from the church, and maybe that's why you're here on an astrology video. I don't know. Maybe you're deciding you want to break free from astrology. That's also possible. Whatever it is, you do you, Gemini, because Pluto is going to want you to be very authentic when it comes to your faith and belief system. One date to watch out for, Gemini, is the 14th of March, because Mars is going to be squaring Neptune. Mars will still be in your 1st house at this point, squaring Neptune in your 10th, meaning there could be some confusion that leads to a bit of aggression when it comes to yourself and your career or people in positions of authority. There may be some kind of miscommunication. There could be some deceit. There could be some illusion going on that is really annoying you. You could be feel really irritated by this. Be careful of jumping to conclusions on this one and acting on that basis, because the information may not necessarily be deceitful, but it could be false. There could be miscommunication. So do sort of watch out around that time. There will be a Sun-Neptune conjunction the next day in your 10th house, and a Mercury conjunct Neptune the day after that. So it could be a kind of foggy time where you're not entirely sure where you stand when it comes to your career and when it comes to your status or people in positions of authority, Gemini. With Mars being in the mix squaring these placements, you could be feeling a little bit confused. You could be feeling a little bit unsure of what exactly is going on. So as I say, don't act because you might not have the full picture. Maybe let it settle for a little bit and allow the communication confusion to sort of ease out that week. So maybe just don't act immediately. But that is what I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Cancer, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to March 2023. So Cancer, one of the things coming up for you this month is that Mars is finally leaving your 12th house and it's moving into your 1st. So you're going to get a ramp up of energy, Cancer, especially when it comes to career, because Mars rules your 10th house. So when it comes to your career or your goals, whatever they are, whether they're related to your career or not, when it comes to your goals, you're feeling very motivated. You're probably feeling very motivated to do a lot of things. Now, be careful, because with Mars, we can have this I can do it all attitude and sometimes burn ourselves out prematurely. So just bear that in mind with Mars being there. You might have a lot of energy to pursue the things that you want to do, the things that you want to have, but you might not necessarily temper your energy as well as you would like to, Cancer. So just be mindful of that. But going back to the start of the month, so right up until the 20th, we have the Sun in Pisces, which for you, Cancer, is your 9th house. So you might be traveling, you might be learning a lot, you might want to be expanding your mindset, diving into your faith and diving into your beliefs, but it's a great time to travel if you can. There's a full moon in your 3rd house of short trips on the 7th of March. So you might be traveling around that time. You might be taking some sort of neighborhood trip. By neighborhood, I mean you could be traveling a county over or a state over. You could be doing a drive. You could be doing a road trip, possibly with some friends, Cancer, because there's a trine to Uranus in your 11th house. There could be some social activities around this time that are very exciting. There could be some sort of surprise going on with a party or with a social event. And you might be finding that this is generating a lot of lively discussions, a lot of lively people are coming into your life. You're meeting really interesting people. And that's a really nice full moon, I feel, Cancer, for just social networking, enjoying others and taking trips if you can. The same day, Saturn enters Pisces. So for you, this is going to be occurring. Saturn is going to be it's a longer term transit. It's going to happen for 3 years, or it's going to be occurring for 3 years. And Saturn going through your 9th house is a time where you might be finding yourself in some sort of higher education. For me, whenever Saturn was going through my 9th house, I was doing my first degree on my second master's, and that means that it took a lot of responsibility, a lot of discipline when it came to the 9th house activity of higher learning and university and education, stuff like that. So you might be finding that you're studying something around this time and it's requiring a lot of discipline and you're getting a formal education in some regard. This might also be a time where you are learning about traveling responsibly, or you might be having some kind of karmic travel experiences whereby something that happens when you travel, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it might be something that happens when you travel really matures you in some regard. You might do your first solo trip, you might travel somewhere to volunteer, especially because it's in Pisces. You might do a volunteering trip and you might have to go out on your own and meet people in a completely different environment, and you're learning a lot from that. You know, that's the kind of energy that comes up with Saturn, taking responsibility, being mature, but also learning something at the same time. So you might be experiencing a bit of some karmic lessons, or you might be having some opportunities to travel that are going to be based in responsibility or going to be based in maturity or something like that. Cancer. As I say, when Saturn was in I feel like everything happened whenever Saturn was in my 9th house, but whenever Saturn was in my 9th house, I also took my first solo trip at that point too. So these are the kind of themes that could be coming up for you. You might also notice sometimes that there are long periods without any kind of travel, with Saturn going through the 9th house as well. Maybe because you have to study or something like that. It might also ask you to examine your relationship with faith and your belief systems as part of this longer term transit. Now, when it comes to career, so we have a lot going on for you this month with career and goals. Jupiter is going to be conjunct Venus on the 2nd, and this is an amazing time for your career, especially if you're Cancer rising and your midheaven is at like 11, 12, 13 degrees of Aries. Very exciting time for you career-wise. There could be a lot of opportunities, a lot of blessings, and you could have a lot of help and assistance when it comes to meeting a goal that you really want to achieve, Cancer. This is going to require confidence though, because Jupiter is conjunct Chiron on the 12th, and this can sort of expand or exacerbate any insecurities or wounds you have surrounding status, career, or goals. But you're likely to see the higher wisdom in it and learn from it. Venus is entering Taurus on the 16th, and I love this for you when it comes to socializing, friendships, meeting interesting people, social networking, being seen on social media. So if you're online dating, that's a wonderful time for you. If you have a social media business, again, a wonderful time to be seen and put yourself out there. The sun enters your career zone on the 20th, and we have a very brand spanking new moon in Aries on the 21st. This new moon is a wonderful time to set new goals for yourself, set new intentions for yourself. In particular, Cancer, if this is going to require you to have some sort of partnership. So if you want to attract a manager, if you want to attract a business partner, perhaps for some of you, if you want your status to change through your relationship, so say you're single but you would really like to be married, this is a great time to manifest the type of partner that you could marry that could change your status if that's what you're looking for. But for most of you, this is really going to be a time where you are setting new goals and intentions for yourself when it comes to your career and your future. Pluto leaves your partnership sector, not for good, but Pluto leaves your partnership sector and moves into your 8th house, Cancer. This might be a time where on a soul level, you're being called to investigate something. Now, it could be anything, but I feel like it's something to do with your psyche, something to do with your soul. Maybe it's a particular mystery in your life that you're finally going to solve. For a lot of you, you could come across information that perhaps takes you by surprise. You could find yourself starting to unravel a big ball of string, but you're going to be very investigative going forward, Cancer, with Pluto being in your 8th house. It's a great time to dive deeper into a mystery or explore talents that are in some way taboo, such as the occult. For those of you that are astrologers or tarot readers, as I know a lot of people watching these are, you could find yourself really understanding your relationship to it, in the sense that, does it give you power or does it take away your power? Ooh, deep questions. Mars enters your sign on the 25th, as I said, and it's going to trine Saturn in your 9th house. So I feel as though you're going to have all this energy, and if you're studying or you're interested in something, Cancer, you're going to put a lot of energy into studying it around the 30th. Also, this month you may find a destined friend, or you might find a destined group of people that are going to impact your destiny in some way, shape or form. But that is what I have for you, Cancer, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to March. March is bringing huge changes for all of us. A complete shift in energy as to what we've been used to for quite a while, Leo. But let's talk about a couple of things that are of particular note for you. So Saturn is leaving Aquarius on the 7th of March, and for around 30 years, Saturn's not going to be there again. Now, Saturn has been going through your partnership sector, and it's now moving into your 8th house. Now, when Saturn goes through the 8th house, a lot of the time we have some stuff to work through. The 8th house is very psychological. This might be a time with Saturn going through there where you really have to work through some fears, work through some phobias, particularly when it comes to interpersonal relationships, sharing, for example. This can be a time when you work through any unresolved traumas or grief or things that have been lurking beneath, because when Saturn goes through a water sign house, as it will when it goes through the 4th, the 8th or the 12th, a lot of the time we have stuff that we need to process that gets built up over time, maybe because we don't have time to look at it, or maybe because there's something holding us back. Now, you may also be taking on more responsibilities when it comes to personal relationships, say your marriage. For example, when it comes to finances, there might be a lot more financial commitments where you need to take responsibility, or you may have to take responsibility when it comes to a financial relationship or an intimate relationship. You're being called to take on more responsibility and maturity when it comes to your financial resources as linked to someone else. And if it's not that that's applying, it is likely that perhaps for some of you, you could be seeking self-employment and having to pay self-employed tax, or there could be a change in your tax arrangement or the money that you get from the government or something like that as well, Leo. But whenever Saturn's in the mix, there's usually some sort of karmic experience or karmic encounter in this particular house. This can also generate a time where you have to face up to some level of avoidance in your intimate relationships, maybe where you've been avoidant of intimacy on an emotional level, or where you've had fears of getting close to other people. Now, Pluto is going to enter your partnership zone on the 23rd, but this is really going to affect you primarily if you have any fixed sign placements at around 0 or 1 degrees. Mainly 0 degrees, to be honest, of the fixed signs, particularly if your descendant, for example, is at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's fine. You can look up your birth chart and figure it out as we go along, but I won't be going too much into the degree detail for this. When Pluto goes into your partnership sector, it can generate for some of you the type of partner who is, if you're single, you can meet someone who is Scorpiophonic, someone who's quite intense, or maybe someone who's quite emotionally deep, or someone who is quite magnetic in nature, someone who's kind of intense and hypnotic. Sometimes it can be attracting controlling partners as well, so do pay attention for any red flags that you see in potential partners or relationships. It can also call into question power dynamics in existing relationships, who has the upper hand and who doesn't, and if something is quite out of balance for you just to consider going forward, Leo. Now, it is going to retrograde back into Capricorn in a couple of months' time, but this is a taster of what is to come in the long run. So 7th of March, there's a full moon in your second house of finances and income, and it's trining Uranus in your 10th house. I like this when it comes to your finances, Leo, because this may generate some more income, some more money for you. This might be a time when your pay rises, or you're able to make more money based on your connections to people in positions of authority or positions of power. You might be getting some help and assistance from someone who is in a position of authority or power, or you might be coming into a confidence boost based on someone who has a lot of sway or a lot of esteem in your career. You could get really good feedback from a boss or an authority figure. Or if you're self-employed, this could be a time, Leo, where you are doing really well and it is boosting your self-confidence or perhaps even your money. But this is looking like a really good full moon for you when it comes to your resources, your finances, and when it comes to your career, Leo. I really like this one. We also have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction happening on the 1st or the 2nd of March, depending on where you are in the world. Speaking of which, this is happening in your 9th house of travel. So this might be a wonderful time to plan a trip, to take a trip. Similarly, Leo, this can also be a time to expand your knowledge when it comes to learning, when it comes to teaching. This is a wonderful time to be doing either of those things. Venus enters your career zone on the 16th, which is, as I say, career zone, it's also to do with your goals and your status. So this is giving a boost to this area of life for you, Leo, where you may be better received when it comes to jobs, prospective jobs, and influential figures. That's for the remainder of the month. There is a new moon happening in the sign of Aries, which is your travel zone, but it's also your higher education zone. So if you're thinking of teaching, or you're thinking of learning or taking a course or studying, there could be some sort of new beginning occurring there for you, Leo, as well as the fact this may also be a wonderful time to plan a trip. There's a lot of emphasis this month on expanding your horizons and taking an adventure and trying something new and thinking outside the box for you, Leo. Mars is entering Cancer on the 25th. So Mars is leaving Gemini for the first time since August and going into Cancer, which is your 12th house. So you can bet during this time, Leo, that if fights are to occur, they may come out of nowhere. And they may come out of nowhere because you don't even realize that you're being triggered by something. Any transit through the 12th house can make the unconscious conscious. It can create events in the 3D that show us what's going on beneath. And this might be, an example might be that you're fighting about something and you realize that this is a pattern in your life and you get triggered by the same thing and you start to ask why, you start to unravel it and you start to push at it a little bit with Mars there. Mars going through the 12th house can sometimes also be a time to really assess the intentions of those around us, because sometimes it can reveal hidden enemies of such people who are sabotaging your pursuit of something, maybe your pursuit of learning, or maybe your pursuit of adventure. There could be some sort of Debbie Downer in the corner that's really pulling your energy back from you, and you need to set better boundaries with Mars being in the 12th house for this time. Other things that may happen is that there may be some sort of destined opportunity when it comes to work for you this month, Leo, with the, Venus conjunct the North Node on the 20th. There might be some sort of divine encounter when it comes to your career, when it comes to meeting influential people, people that are going to help you on your path, people that are going to set you up for the next step in your career, or an opportunity that doesn't come around very often. So that is what I have for you, Leo. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Virgo, Sun, Moon and Rising, and welcome to March. So Virgo, the star of the show for you this month is a full moon in your first house. This is putting you very much into the spotlight because full moons are points of illumination and culmination. So perhaps there is a personal goal that you're achieving around this time, or perhaps there is something that is putting you into the spotlight. And if I could hedge a guess at what it might be, with the trine to Uranus in your 9th house, it might be that you're in the spotlight for your knowledge. It might be you're in the spotlight for your genius on a particular subject, or your perspectives. You may also be feeling more optimistic with this trine to Uranus in the 9th house, or it might be to do with traveling or expanding your horizons in some way, shape or form. With this full moon on the 7th, this is a wonderful time for you to travel because Uranus being in your 9th house is very supportive of you. It's supportive of who you are, how you're showing up to the world, and it might just give you a little bit of an energy boost at the same time, Virgo. Saturn on the same day is going to move into your relationship sector, which means that over the next 3 years, Virgo, when it comes to your relationships, it's really going to be whether something is durable, reliable, mature and stable or not. The type of relationships that are going to survive during this time are likely the relationships built on trust and stability and mutual goals for the future. And these are the relationships that are probably going to get more committed. When Saturn goes into your relationship sector, you're probably going to think of things like marriage or home ownership or starting a family or different milestones that generate commitment in a relationship or show commitment and loyalty to the union. Relationships that fall away during this time are likely karmic in nature. They were designed to teach you something. Perhaps they were simply to teach you what you didn't want, or perhaps they were to reflect back to you something within you that needed to be worked upon so that you could have healthier relationships. With Saturn being in the 7th house, the type of partners you're going to want to go for or you're likely to attract are people who are either mature, maybe a bit older, people who may be kind of Saturnian like Capricorns or Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Rising, but you may also be inclined to attract karmic partners if there's something for you to resolve within. So make sure that when you are dating, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, Virgo, that you are dating people who are good choices for you. Follow your intuition and make sure that you're picking through a position of high self-esteem. But any lessons that you have to experience with your relationship sector are likely to come up with Saturn being in the 7th house. Let me see. Other things happening now that we've got that light note out of the way of Saturn changing signs is that there's a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Aries, and this is in your 8th house. So you might actually benefit from some sort of financial relationship, Virgo. If you're in business with someone, you might get a tax rebate. You might come into some money that you didn't know you were owed. You could get some sort of bonus. You could get some sort of worst case scenario inheritance, but I feel like with this being a very jovial energy, it might be a distant relative you didn't know, or it might be that you're going to benefit as a result of your partner's career or partner's resources. And if it's not that, you might actually just be conquering a fear with Venus and Jupiter conjunct in Aries. This is your 8th house, and if 8th house is phobias and fears, and you might be attracting people that can help you work through those. It's one way to look at that, Virgo. The sun is in your relationship sector right up until the 20th. So this is a wonderful time to mingle and meet partners for you, Virgo, especially because we have a Sun-Neptune conjunction. And where is the Mercury-Neptune conjunction? Yes. All at the same time. So around the 15th and the 16th, there might be something happening within your relationship sector. There might be potential for a new relationship if you're single, and there might be events occurring that are significant in your relationship if you're in a relationship. The square to Mars on the 14th from your 10th house is making me feel like perhaps the work that you're doing in your career is perhaps causing a little bit of friction with a relationship, maybe because it's taking all your energy and your partner's feeling kind of neglected or left out or forgotten about. And there could be misunderstandings in that area as well occurring for you. So just tread carefully with that. We also have, let me see, a new moon in Aries, and the sun entering Aries on the 20th, the new moon's on the 21st. It's at 0 degrees of Aries. And for you, Virgo, this is really looking as though there is perhaps a new beginning in a financial relationship. There is a new beginning when it comes to your resources with another person or a business relationship. Or as I say, it may also be that you are going to be working through something or facing a fear that perhaps you have ignored for a while, and you're maybe learning something that is giving you the knowledge to work through it and commit to working through it. You might also have a new hobby or interest that is in the occult or is in the taboo or hidden side of things. With new moons in the 8th house, discussing the 8th house in general on YouTube can be tricky. It's full of things that get you demonetized. So I have to tread carefully when I'm talking about the 8th house and new moons there. But it feels as though there might be something happening in your life, Virgo, that really is taking your interest. It might be something quite taboo. It might be something quite hidden, or it might be something quite controversial, but with its sextile to Pluto, it feels as though perhaps this is something that you're really excited to learn about, or something that you're really excited to dive into. Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd, and you're going to start noticing if there's any unhealthy power dynamics or control when it comes to your work environment, or when it comes to your habits, maybe where you have been a bit obsessive or compulsive around certain habits that you have, Virgo. Now, with Pluto entering here, it's a great time to prioritize your mental health in a way that helps you understand the psychology of it. The psychology of your physical and mental health is going to be something you want to focus on, Virgo. Mars enters Cancer, and you're going to be relieved about this because Mars leaving your career zone is going to add less tension, less frustrations when it comes to career. And moving into your 11th house, you can fight with your friends instead. I'm only joking. You might find that some of your friends are a bit more shirty than usual, or there's a bit more of a group debate, or there might be clashes of plans when it comes to social events, or you might go to a social event where people start chucking bar stools. Those are only small examples of what could happen, Virgo, but the way that I'm seeing this is just watch for a bit of confrontation when it comes to your teams and your groups, or a bit of clashes in that area in particular. This might also be a time when you have more energy to work towards a particular goal. Now, another thing happening is that there is a Venus North Node conjunction on the 20th in Taurus, which for you, Virgo, is your 9th house. So there may be a fated opportunity to travel, and this may connect you with a prospective partner, or this might connect you with a new relationship. This might also connect you with a new way of making money. That is what I have for you, Virgo, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Welcome to March. So Libra, there's so much to unpack for March, but one of the main things that's coming up for you this month is your relationship sector is very much highlighted for a number of reasons. So firstly, we have this Venus-Jupiter conjunction on the 2nd of March. Now, Venus is your ruler, so any conjunction to Jupiter, from Jupiter to your ruler is very benefic, it's very lucky, it's very auspicious, but this is happening in your 7th house of relationships. And this is really going to trigger your 7th house of relationships because Jupiter is going to be making a conjunction for the first time this year to anything other than the moon. For the first part of this Jupiter in Aries transit, we've not been having conjunctions to any other placements in Aries, and March is really the time where we get into the swing of it and we start having quite a few. So for this to be happening in your relationship sector is pretty nifty, because this means that you could be attracting a wonderful relationship into your life if you're single. And this may also mean that in terms of your relationship, there is more harmonious energy flowing in. Now, the one thing about this is that there's a conjunction to Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So you might notice that simultaneously you are perhaps entering a new relationship, or you're working things out in your current relationship, and you have to work through some wounds or triggers or insecurities surrounding that area. So Chiron connecting to Venus and Jupiter can be very healing, but it can also be very triggering. And because it's happening in your relationship sector, this can be through the lens of a partnership or your feelings surrounding relationships. But they're very highlighted at this time. So we also, in that sector, we then have Aries season beginning on the 20th, putting more spotlight on your relationships, and a new moon occurring at 0 degrees of Aries on the 21st. Sextiling Pluto, which is still in Capricorn at that point in your 4th house of home and family. So maybe for some of you, you and a partner are moving in together, or perhaps you're moving into an apartment and you suddenly fall in love with your roommate, or perhaps you are meeting someone through family, or perhaps you are starting a new relationship with someone who comes from your hometown, or perhaps, you're moving to be closer to a partner. Whatever the case is, Libra, it feels as though there are very exciting new beginnings occurring in your relationship sector. And if you're a Libra rising in particular, if you're a Libra rising at like 11, 12, 13 degrees, or even 0 degrees, you're very likely impacted by these particular transits. Yeah, especially because Venus is going to be in your 7th house up until the 16th. Other things to note, Libra, is that until your 7th house season begins in the 20th, although you'll be feeling partnership stuff going on beforehand, we do have the sun going through your 6th house of work. So you might be finding that you're spending a lot of time at work. You might be spending a lot of time focusing on your habits, getting things in order, getting things organized. And this is highlighted under the 7th of March full moon in Virgo, which is trine Uranus. So this full moon is happening in your 12th house. This is kind of sleepy for you. It's kind of healing for you. And it's trine to Uranus is an interesting one as well, because that's a trine from the 8th house. So it kind of seems with this full moon for you, Libra, that a lot of the stuff, the unexpected epiphanies or surprises are coming maybe through something quite profound on a healing level. So this could be, for example, with this full moon, you are wanting to spend some time alone and you're wanting to journal, or you're wanting to meditate, or you're wanting to see a psychic, or you're wanting to see a therapist, or you're wanting to do something healing, do something cathartic. And you're having a real epiphany moment when it comes to psychology. So maybe you're noticing a pattern, maybe you're noticing a trauma, and something about this is helping you unlock and release maybe some emotions or self-sabotaging behaviors that have been keeping you back. So for you, Libra, this one's quite profound, but more in an internal sense, I think. The same day Saturn is entering Pisces. So Saturn entering your 6th house means that for the next 3 years, Libra, a lot of your responsibilities and duties are going to come in the guise of small things, habits, your work life, the people that you work with. You might have karmic encounters with employees or colleagues. You know, people that are karmic in nature because they come into your life, they cause a bit of difficulty just to teach you something. And that might be something that you're experiencing, some tough karmic lessons when it comes to either employees or colleagues or your work or your habits. You're likely also going to be taking your health more seriously at this time. And you're likely going to be more, mindful of the foods you eat, the way you move your body, the way that you work out, and the way that you go about your work and your schedule are all going to be very important to you, and you're going to take more responsibility in things that may seem mundane, but they all add up on the grander scheme of things, Other things happening for you, Libra. Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd, and this is going to bring some understanding when it comes to power struggles surrounding love, maybe deeper psychological feelings surrounding love, surrounding pleasure, surrounding joy. With Pluto going through here, you might be feeling very obsessive over a particular hobby or something as well. And you could also attract in love interests who are maybe quite obsessive in one sense, but you might also attract ones that are very passionate, ones that are very profound and very intriguing and very deep at the same time. Mars enters Cancer, so Mars is entering your career zone, Libra, on the 25th, meaning that if you're going to fight with anybody going forward, now that it's out of Gemini, if you're going to fight with anybody going forward, it'll be your boss, it'll be people in positions of authority, it'll be people in your career, it might be your parents. That's where the conflict could lie, so you can be mindful of that and avoid it if necessary through the simple knowledge of that. But it can also be that you're very determined and very ambitious to work on your goals and nobody's going to stand in your way. So that is what I have for you, Libra. I hope you have a good one and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to March. I hope you're doing really well. So Scorpio, this is a very big month for us all. Let's see what it means for you. So Scorpio, the first thing I want to mention is the full moon in Virgo on the 7th trine Uranus. Okay, so this full moon is happening in your very social, very friendship-based, networking, teams, groups of people sector. So this is happening on the 7th of March. And it's going to be trine Uranus in your relationship sector. So for a lot of you around this time, you could be spending time with a group of people, a group of friends, and you could really find yourself clicking with one person in particular that could either be in a romantic sense, it could be a partnership sense, or it could be a best friend sense. Your friendship sector is very highlighted here. And this is a very social full moon for you. So if you have opportunities to network, opportunities to meet people, go, because you might actually meet someone who's relationship material as well with that trine to Uranus in your 7th house. And this could be a surprise to you. It could be an event that maybe you didn't anticipate going to. It happens unexpectedly. You get selected for something last minute and then you meet the love of your life, or you meet your new best friend, or you and your partner could go somewhere unexpectedly, like a party or a social event, and end up having a really good time. But this is a very social full moon, so do make sure that you're networking and mingling and making the most of it, Scorpio. On the same day, Saturn enters Pisces. So this is a long-term transit, 3 years, Saturn in your 5th house. If you're a creative, or even if you're not a creative, whatever your hobbies and your passions are, you're going to take them a lot more seriously over the next 3 years. So perhaps you are going to start taking on more responsibility when it comes to, say you were doing something for fun. This is kind of the energy of, say you were writing songs for fun and someone actually takes one and all of a sudden you're employed as a songwriter and you're having to be very responsible with it when before you were just doing it as a creative outlet. You're kind of having to take more responsibility when it comes to your passions for some reason. So that's likely that you're working harder on them, that you're honing your craft. This might also be where you're taking more responsibility when it comes to your children by either becoming a parent or having to be more disciplined because you've become a parent or something like that, Scorpio. If you're trying to conceive, just know that Saturn can delay the process, but it doesn't deny the process. So it might take a little bit longer than you anticipated, but it may still be something that happens in this particular cycle. The 5th house is also fun and pleasure in general. So with Saturn here, you can actually find, some people can automatically think this means you're not going to have any fun. It actually can mean that you take your fun more seriously and you understand how good it is for you and how important it is to your sense of well-being. But I feel like when it comes to this transit for you, Scorpio, as a creative or as someone who's very passionate about their hobbies, there's something about this that makes me feel you're taking it more seriously and you're developing some kind of responsibility in some capacity with the 5th house. This is also a time that if you have any issues surrounding gambling, you will probably move towards conquering it in this time, or like shopping addiction or something like that. You're probably going to take steps towards conquering it in this particular cycle. But for a lot of you, you could be taking on more responsibility, in particular with children. So as I say, that could be from having children, adopting children, or perhaps you're having to be there more for a child who's going through a difficult time, maybe a difficult transitional period or something like that. Now, we have a really nice conjunction between Venus and Jupiter on the 2nd of March. And this is happening in your 6th house of work. So it's likely, Scorpio, that when it comes to your work, you're going to be the favorite. You're going to be someone who's doing very well. There could be great relationships with your colleagues, with your employees, or you could be getting some kind of recognition in the workplace. And this might actually boost your finances, Scorpio. Other things we have going on for you, the sun is in your 5th house right up until the 20th. So even though Saturn is entering there on the 7th, make sure that you're taking plenty of time to be creative, pursue your hobbies, date if you're single, and also date if you're in a relationship. Go on dates with your partner. Be out and about, be social, enjoy life, have more fun, because there's likely more opportunities for fun with the sun in the 5th house. The sun enters Aries on the 20th and we have a new moon there on the 21st. For a lot of you, this could be a new job. For a lot of you, this could be a new source of employment. And for a lot of you, this will be the new beginning of a certain habit that is going to help you in the long run, something that you're very excited to try, something you're very excited to do. With that 6th house energy, a lot of you could be joining a gym, a lot of you could be taking up some sort of exercise, a lot of you could be really committing to something when it comes to your physical health and well-being. Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd. Okay, so Pluto's your ruler and it changes signs very infrequently. Pluto doesn't change very often, so you're going to feel this. You're going to feel this physically, or you're going to feel this in the air. And to add to that energy is that 2 days later, your traditional ruler, Mars, also changes sign for the first time since August. So around the 23rd, 25th, Scorpio, go easy on yourself. Take a bit of rest, take a bit of downtime, because you're going to feel these energetic shifts and they might manifest as unusual feelings or symptoms. But with Pluto entering Aquarius on the 23rd, there might be some stuff to work through with family, particularly if there's control in relationships or power struggles or power dynamics you're having to work through. This is usually very psychological and very inward, so these can be things that are drawn out over a longer cycle, but you often find at the beginning of the change, these are where these issues start coming up. So maybe addressing your own relationship with power and control when it comes to family, when it comes to property, and when it comes to obsessiveness surrounding those areas or even surrounding your past. Mars entering Cancer on the 25th finally gets out of your 8th house, goes into your 9th. You're going to have itchy feet. You're going to want to travel. You're going to want to take trips. You're going to want to learn something. And if you're not engaging in these type of adventurous energies, you're going to get irritable. If any fights are going to occur, they're going to be with your teachers, your mentors, your lecturers, or they're going to be with airport staff. So if you're traveling around this time, make sure that you're doing something to relax before you go to the airport, because it could be kind of hectic. Also, if you are looking for love and relationships, Scorpio, there could be a destined encounter happens around the 20th. Someone who is seemingly meant to be, or someone that you're dating. It progresses in some way, shape or form. If you're in a relationship, there is a destined event when it comes to your partnership and relationship around the 20th, as I said. Wonderful time for relationships from the 16th onward. You might find if you're dating someone, it gets more committed. If you're in a relationship, it is a much more peaceful time. And if you're single, you're more likely to meet somebody, especially around the 20th. So put yourself out there. That's what I have for you, Scorpio, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. Welcome to March. So Sagittarius, big changes happening this month. Let's get started. There's a full moon in your 10th house of career on the 7th, which is being positively aspected and supported by Uranus in Taurus, which is your 6th house, again a work related house. It feels like for you, Sagittarius, there could be some sort of milestone, something comes to fruition, something unexpected that feels like a pleasant surprise when it comes to your work and career. Perhaps if you are a boss, your colleagues all whip together and get you something or give you some sort of recognition, or perhaps if you are reaching a particular milestone, your colleagues are all supporting you in that milestone. Something like this is happening for you, Sagittarius, whereby you're feeling really recognized by the people that you work with, or there's some sort of positive surprise when it comes to your career and your status, Sagittarius. On the same day, Saturn enters Pisces. So for the next 3 years, there's going to be a lot of focus on taking extra responsibility and accountability when it comes to home, property, and family. For a lot of you, that could be because you're starting a family and this is going to come with new layers of responsibility. You could be looking for a home or a property. You could be buying your first home and all the responsibility that's coming with that, or you could be moving somewhere that's maybe a bit further away from your support system. But what it's looking like, Sagittarius, is that, do you remember when it comes to purchasing property, moving, or anything like that, Saturn does not deny, it delays. So it might take a bit longer, or there might be renovations required, or there might be something that tests your patience when it comes to home and family matters, Sagittarius. And these can also be karmic encounters when it comes to family. So perhaps dealing with unresolved issues from the past, and perhaps needing to practice forgiveness or work through some things that were swept under the rug when it comes to family. This can be a time when you're more interested in working through ancestral karma as well, and recognizing patterns and breaking cycles. That can be a big theme for you over the next 3 years. Now, there's a Jupiter-Venus conjunction on the 2nd in Aries, your 5th house. A lot of you could find out you're expecting. A lot of you could find out that you're pregnant. A lot of you, if you're trying for that, this is a great time to try. Just to give a date of interest to you. This can also be a time when you fall in love. This can be a time when you have a wonderful date. You meet someone who ticks all the boxes. Or if you're a creative, this can be very inspirational for you, Sagittarius. You can be absolutely inspired, make your best work, or find something that you really love to do. Other things happening this month is that the sun enters your 5th house on the 20th and there's a new moon there. This is a great month for attracting new love if you are single, or shooting your shot if you're interested in somebody, because if you are, it's likely to be reciprocated and it's likely to go well. That obviously won't be in all cases. Use your better judgment on that, but if you were going to shoot your shot with someone you like, Sagittarius, this is the time to do it, because there does seem to be a new beginning in your love life on the 21st. That is sextiling Pluto in your 2nd house. So it feels like it's something that boosts your confidence. And if it's not romantic, or it's not a pregnancy or something like that, it can be very creative. It can be a hobby that is really boosting your confidence, something you really love to do that makes you happy. Happiness is a big focus for you this month, Sagittarius. Pursuing what makes you happy, and what would that look like for you going forward? What new way of approaching this is going to bring more happiness and joy into your life? We also have Pluto entering Aquarius on the 23rd. Pluto is leaving your financial sector temporarily. We'll move back. But Pluto entering the 3rd house, this is the beginning of a much longer cycle where you're going to do a little bit of digging as to any power imbalances or issues when it comes to siblings, when it comes to neighbours, or perhaps even when it comes to learning. But the way that I'm seeing this for you, Sagittarius, with it being Pluto, is that there could be something that needs to be... Pluto rules our power dynamics, and it rules our obsessions, and it rules controlling energy. So these themes may appear to you when it comes to neighbours, or when it comes to siblings, or when it comes to cousins, when it comes to relationships that are kind of separated by something but are still important. And this might also be where you work through some stuff related to speech or related to communication. But nevertheless, this is part of a longer transit we're going to be dealing with, and this is only a short time visitation, but it's worth noting because sometimes we notice what the themes are. If we know to pay attention, we can figure out what the themes are going to be and get a bit of a head start on working through those. Now, at the 25th, Mars leaves your partnership sector and moves into your 8th house. It feels as though if you're in a relationship, your significant other, if they've really been irritating you, if there's been a lot of fights, this is a bit of reprieve. And Mars going into the 8th house means that you're more likely to work through fears, phobias, meet challenges head on. Mars loves being in the 8th house. It doesn't necessarily love being in Cancer, but it loves going through the 8th house. This can be a time when you're really determined, you're feeling more brave than usual to conquer your fears and your phobias. And if you're going to fight with anybody, it's probably going to be about joint resources, joint finances, or perhaps fighting with the government over money. So watch out for that. Those are the events, those are the circumstances and events that are likely to trigger you with Mars going through that particular sector, Sagittarius. But that is all I have for you, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising. Welcome to March. So Capricorn, this month has huge change for us all, and the number one change coming to you, Capricorn, is the fact that Pluto is leaving your sign. Now Pluto is leaving your sign and entering your 2nd house on the 23rd, but right up until then we have Pluto at 29 degrees, meaning that on a personal level you're experiencing profound change, catharsis and letting go. You might find yourself a bit triggered at this time because old stuff is coming up to be washed away so that you can embrace new energy. This is going to be a longer term thing because Pluto is going to retrograde back into your sign and experience the last few degrees again. So you are going through this period over the next year of wrapping up, and your life is probably going to change quite significantly with Pluto, going over the last few degrees of your sign so significantly. But you'll notice in this particular chapter around the 23rd with Pluto going into your 2nd house, how you are experiencing your relationship, maybe from a psychological level with money, but also your relationship with confidence and self-worth and value, what truly it is that you value, because Pluto is a very psychologically oriented planet. And you might notice that there are some psychological components going on when it comes to your relationship with money or self-worth or value and even self-esteem. Now, since Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008, a lot of you, especially Capricorn risings, will agree that your life has changed very profoundly. We can see this in examples, celebrity examples like Russell Brand, someone who started the Pluto in Capricorn transit as a playboy of sorts, a very wild ladies' man is the way of putting it, and now he is a married spiritual guru. That kind of intense transformation might not resonate with you specifically, but there has been in your life some kind of transformation. Say you began the Pluto and Capricorn cycle as someone who was single, and now you're leaving it as someone who's married with 2 or 3 youngsters at home. But there can be a lot of things happening around this time that you find triggering that aren't necessarily big things. It can be, for example, that you have to throw out something because it broke and it goes back a very long time, and you're realizing it's like a metaphor for throwing out the old way of doing things, the old ways of thinking, or the old ways of living your life. That's the kind of profound change that's going on for you with Pluto teetering around the last degree of your sign. You're closing out old cycles of self. And you're likely going through some deep transformations that maybe others can't see. It can be really felt very personally. But do pay attention to taking care of yourself. Prioritize taking care of yourself this month, Capricorn, because with the 29 degree, you can be feeling things quite heavy. Pluto's a very heavy planet. So just make sure that you are looking after yourself first and foremost, and making sure that you're supported. Now, Saturn is your ruler. Saturn also changes signs. Saturn leaves your 2nd house and enters your 3rd. So Saturn is taking a cap off your finances. You might have noticed over the last 3 years that you have had a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things to pay for, a lot of things to finance, and maybe you've not felt your finances grow as much as they can. Now they have the opportunity based on the wisdom, responsibility, accountability, and lessons you've learned in your financial sector. Saturn's now going into your 3rd house. So what does this mean? Well, pay attention to your relationships with siblings, neighbours, cousins, and even teachers, because there may be some karmic experiences going on here. And karmic doesn't have to be bad, but you can learn from these people or learn from experiences with these people. You may also be asked to take on more responsibility when it comes to your speech and your communication style, Capricorn. You may have a natural gift in these areas, but Saturn wants to refine it. There is a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Aries on the 2nd, bringing blessings and a lot of luck when it comes to home, property, and family matters. So that's something you can look forward to, Capricorn. This might be the time when you find out you're getting the home of your dreams, or you've finally saved enough for a deposit, or you finally have an idea of where you want to live, or something really blessed happens in your family that makes you very excited and very joyous, Capricorn. We also have Venus entering your 5th house in the 16th, which is going to bring a lot of opportunities for love and romance this month. Whether you're in a relationship or not, that's more romance in your partnership, or that is more opportunities, or it's a really nice time to date if you're interested in somebody. Speaking of which, there's a full moon in Virgo on the 7th. So this is bringing into... this is highlighting effectively your 9th house. So this full moon is a wonderful time to travel. It's a wonderful time to take a trip. It's also a wonderful time to teach or attend a course or a seminar. This might be a time when you are graduating university, or you're getting wonderful results about your studies, or you're teaching something and it goes really well if you're a teacher of any kind. Trining Uranus in your 5th house of love, romance, and creativity. So if you are teaching something, you might find that you're teaching something you're very passionate about, or you're feeling very creative about it, and this is paying off for you in terms of being acknowledged for it. It might also be that if you're traveling, or you're attending a course, or something to do with your university or school or your study, you might actually find romance is a part of the picture. There could be love happening with Uranus in the 5th house. This can be like Cupid's arrows pinging you. If you're single with someone maybe who is quite intellectual, maybe someone who's quite learned, maybe someone who has similar interests, or someone who, you know, maybe comes from a different jurisdiction or a different background or something like that. But love could certainly be popping up around that full moon if you're single. But for a lot of you, this is going to highlight matters of travel and expanding your horizons and learning something new. And you might actually take an unexpected trip, or there could be an unexpected plan. pops up around this time, Capricorn. We have the sun entering your fourth house on the 20th, and on the 21st we have a new moon there. So again, tying into this energy that there might be new beginnings when it comes to home and property matters. There may also be new beginnings when it comes to family. This is something you're happy with because it's sextiling Pluto still in your first house at this point. So you're feeling supported maybe by family, or you're feeling supportive of family. This might also be a time when you are deciding that you want to renovate, or you want to do up your property or change your property in some regard. 25th of March, Mars enters your 7th house of relationships. So this is bringing a lot of heat into your relationship sector. So if you're in a relationship, Mars cycles can sometimes be a time when you fight more with your partner, or there's more tension with a partner. And sometimes this can be passionate, but sometimes this can also bring arguments about if you're in a relationship. And if it's not a romantic relationship, this can be your best friend, this can be your business partner, but there can also equally be a lot of heat and passion and working towards something with somebody else, conquering something together, Capricorn. If you're single, there's a Venus North Node conjunction on the 20th, so you might find that you really are being struck by Cupid's arrows with somebody at this time. If you're looking for love, it could strike unexpectedly, or there could be a destined encounter or some sort of destined change in your romantic life. If you're already in a relationship, this can be a pregnancy, this can be conceiving, or this can be something, some sort of creative passion strikes, but it's all a part of your destiny. So I don't mean this in just an idea. There seems to be something quite destined happening for you in your 5th house around the 20th, Capricorn. But that is what I have for you. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Rising Aquarius. Welcome to March. Where do we start? So Aquarius, Saturn is finally leaving your sign after 3 years, and Pluto is entering your sign for the first time in your lifetime. And if it's not the first time in your lifetime, what's your secret? So, Aquarius, Saturn leaving your sign over the last 3 years, whether you're Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you have developed, you have grown, you have matured. You've probably encountered some very tough lessons that the higher meaning, the higher understanding was to do with your relationship with yourself. You'll have learned a lot about you. You've probably learned a lot about yourself. You probably learned more about yourself in the last 3 years than you've ever known about yourself, regardless of what age you are. This really will have matured you, and it's going to help you make better decisions in the long run. So Saturn is now entering your 2nd house, and this is to do with income, this is to do with money and your relationship with money. This is also to do with your relationship with confidence and values. So what matters to you, what is most important to you in this lifetime, where do you place your value, but also what's your relationship with money like. You're going to have to take on more responsibility financially over the next 3 years, Aquarius. Pluto is entering your sign, albeit for a short stay, but this is the beginning of a longer transit on the 23rd, and this is going to transform you, again, from the inside out. Pluto transformations are slow moving, they're subtle, but they're incredibly profound. When Pluto leaves Aquarius, which is in the far distant future, and we'll be with you every step of the way for this, but you will emerge as a completely different person. But for now, you're sort of you're getting a little bit of a rumbling as to what your relationship is with control and what your relationship is with power, how you have it and how you give it away when it comes to yourself. You're really transforming from the inside out, Aquarius. And the broader message here is to be more true to who you are. But with Saturn having gone through this sector, you're probably pretty prepared for that. There's a full moon in Virgo trining your ruler Uranus on the 7th of March. So the full moon is in your 8th house and the sun is in your 2nd house. So this is highlighting your finances while Saturn moves into your 2nd house in the same day. So with the trine to Uranus being in your 4th house, a lot of you could unexpectedly come into money regarding home and family matters. This could be that someone in your family unexpectedly gives you money, or you might have a partner that inherits money or something like that, but you feel like you're getting some kind of financial boost from somebody else. The trine to Uranus means that perhaps you're able to invest this money into property or into home, decorating your home or investing it in a property or investing it in your family. So perhaps the sale of something goes through and you're able to buy a home, or perhaps someone in your family leaves you money and you're able to renovate your property or something like that around this time, Aquarius. We have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction on the 2nd in the sign of Aries, which for you, Aquarius, is happening in your 3rd house. So you could be hearing really good news around this time, and this news might be something that really boosts you, boosts your mood, makes you happy. This might also be to do with siblings, or it might be to do with neighbours. But this may also be to do simply with communication, hearing something that really makes you very happy, hearing really good news, hearing really blessed news, or having some sort of exciting or important conversation, Aquarius. We also have Venus entering your home sector on the 16th. So from the 16th onward, you're going to have blessings when it comes to your home and property. This can be redecorating. This can be finding the right kind of items and home accessories to make your space really comfortable. This can also bring better relationships with your family. Nice time for a family gathering or a family party. Other things happening, Aquarius, the sun enters Aries and there's a new moon in Aries on the 21st. So because this is your 3rd house, this can mark a new chapter where you're learning something, teaching something, taking a course. You could be doing something new surrounding your voice, surrounding how you vocalize, how you communicate, whether that's taking a workshop or it is perhaps doing something new with a sibling or a cousin or a neighbour. But this might also be heralding a new friendship for you, Aquarius, around the time of this new moon. New moons in the 3rd house usually bring some kind of news, or maybe someone new in your life that you're going to communicate with. This can also be a wonderful time to begin a writing project with a new moon happening in your 3rd house, or taking a new course, as I say. Mars enters Cancer on the 25th, and for you this is your 6th house, meaning that you're very likely to want to hit the gym, you're very likely to want to work out, exercise, move your body, take care of your physical health, but just be cautious, Aquarius, of going too quick, too fast and doing yourself an injury. That's what I have for you, Aquarius. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, Sun, Moon and Rising. Happy birthday for those Pisces born in March. Pisces, this is a huge month for you, and the biggest date is the 7th of March for multiple reasons. Firstly, there's a full moon happening in your opposite sign of Virgo, trine Uranus. This is your relationship sector. So if you're in a relationship, there may be some sort of unexpected, exciting surprise coming from a partner, or an exciting conversation, an exciting dialogue going on around this time. Your partner might give you unexpected news that makes you feel excited, that really benefits your relationship, or you guys might be talking about something quite exciting. If you're not in a relationship, you could very likely be meeting someone at this time. With the trine to Uranus, this might be somebody who is a bit different than what you usually go for, or you might meet them in a very unexpected way, or the relationship might develop really quite quickly. With this being in the 3rd house, you could meet them through a friend, you could meet them through a neighbour, you could meet them through some sort of learning environment with the 3rd house, or you could just find you meet them in a very unexpected way. On the same day, Saturn enters Pisces. This is huge because Saturn is going to be beginning a whole new life cycle for you, Pisces, where you're likely going to be very mature by the time you get out of this cycle. Saturn going through your 1st house is going to mature you mind, body and soul. You're taking yourself more seriously. You're taking your physical health more seriously, your well-being more seriously. You're probably going to be more committed to preserving yourself. So taking maybe anti-aging treatments, or maybe getting your teeth done with Saturn, or you're going to be doing something that is a mark of maturity. So you could be taking on more personal responsibility for yourself, Pisces, and committing to something that's very important to you over the next 3 years. We also have, let me see, a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in your 2nd house on the 2nd. This is going to bless your finances. You're likely going to be either receiving more money or figuring out ways to make more money that are very advantageous and blessed for you. This is a wonderful time to take the initiative, because it is Aries, with your finances, because they could really grow around this time. And with the Jupiter conjunction to Chiron on the 12th, this can also give you a higher awareness or higher knowledge on your wounds surrounding self-confidence, value, or even your relationship with money, and also how your self-confidence and your self-worth affects your finances, and how maybe Jupiter is teaching you something here to help you work your way out of that, whether that's a really good book on your relationship to money, or you're, learning something from someone else, like a mentor or a guru that's helping you understand how to have a better relationship with yourself and your values. Venus enters your third house on the 16th, which is going to be a time that if you're single, you're likely talking to someone who's very exciting around this time, or if you're in a relationship, you're really focusing on communication in your relationship. You're focusing on how communication bonds you with another person and generates better intimacy. The sun enters your second house on the 20th, and there's a new moon there on the 21st. There's no way around it, Pisces. This month has a lot of focus on the money that you make, on how you make your money, and developing your self-confidence, but it feels like there might be a completely new way of making money for you this month, Pisces. And it might be very supported by groups of people, teams of people, new friends, social connections, networking. They're going to help you make money. So you might actually find by the end of the month, you have a new side hustle or a new branch to your business that you didn't foresee based on the connections that you've made socially. Pluto enters your 12th house. Pluto enters your 12th house on the 23rd. So this is part of a larger cycle. Pluto is going to retrograde back into Capricorn after a couple of months, but this is going to ask you to reassess your relationship, probably with healing, and where maybe you're a bit obsessive or a bit controlling with healing, or how you think, your mental health, and how you can actually transform these in a way that is not necessarily controlling. Or if you feel like there's some sort of power imbalance with your relationship to the divine, even, because Pisces is a very spiritual sign. 25th, Mars enters Cancer, which is your 5th house, giving you the energy to work on a creative project. If you're going to have difficulty with anyone, confrontation, it's likely to be your kids if you have them. They might be acting up a little bit, or there could be some sort of fights going on with Mars being in your 5th house of children. But this is also a time you might channel your frustration into your creativity, Pisces, into making some sort of art. It's a great time to do some sort of art that is like aggressive, like making clay. Is that aggressive? I don't know. Like pounding clay seems like a great way of releasing stress, but you're likely going to be throwing yourself into some sort of creative project, Pisces. Watch out for miscommunication or fights with family around the 14th, because things might get misconstrued and a bit confusing. Things could get a little bit heated and you're not quite sure why. There could be a bit of miscommunication or a bit of uncertainty, so do watch for confrontation around this time. Mars leaving your family sector on the 25th is going to be a sigh of relief when it comes to any tension surrounding your living situation or your family dynamic, Pisces. But that is what I have for you. I hope you have a beautiful month, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.